back to another episode of Just a Girl Talk. My name is Janine for those who are new to my channel, and I have another special guest. This is my lovely girlfriend, Chantel. We met in college in statistics class, and it was like, girl, can you help me? Can you help me, please? Because I don't know how to make it through this class. And ever since then, we just connected, and we've been friends since. We instantly connected on so many different levels, about so many different things, whether it been relationships, whether it been our faith and our walk with Christ, just so many different things. And I thought, why not have someone who I have had such great conversation with, and she has so much positive feedback to share with so many women out there. So I wanted to bring her along, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you guys a little bit about who she is and what she does on a day-to-day basis.
Hi everyone, my name is Chantel Cupid. I am great friends with Janine, as she just spoke. I recently just published a book called The Worth Journal, The Reinforcement of Self-Value. Really great read, great day-to-day devotion, as well as just like journaling. And I'm really about self-care and self-love as well. That actually could be found on my Instagram at CCX Styles. The link is in the bio. Whenever you get a chance, please go check it out. It's absolutely amazing.
So, as Chantel said, that her work journal really relates to this conversation that we're going to talk about. And we're going to be talking about why women are afraid to have the conversation about marriage. Particularly women of color, why we struggle so much with the conversation, why we shy away from it. I guess why we're afraid of it, just afraid to sit down and have that real conversation, because it's like a huge step in a woman's life. So we're going to jump right in. As I said, we're talking about why women are afraid to have the conversation. I recently had a Just a Girl retreat over the summer, and Chantel attended. And that's how I got this conversation going, because we had that topic being discussed while we were there. Mm-hmm. And the women were talking about their relationships and, different things. And a few women were saying, we just don't talk about it because we're good. I'm not really ready to have that conversation. I don't want it to become weird or to be so much pressure. So I instantly felt like, why do we as women have to automatically go to the negative?
Right.
Marriage for us in our community we don't see like butterflies and stars. We see like, oh no, that's gonna go bad. So I wanted to hear your feedback on like, how do you feel about that? Like, why are women afraid to have the conversation?
Sometimes I just think as they're afraid of what their partner's reaction is going to be. A lot of the times as women, and once everything is going good, we're in a relationship, we've been together for years, sometimes children are involved and everything like that, and the conversation may have never been brought up, which meaning both parties haven't said anything.
Right.
But I just feel like, if the man isn't saying something, and as the woman, if it's something that you've questioned, it shouldn't be something that, we should be afraid to bring up in a conversation, because if no one brings it up, then the conversation will never be had. That's where communication comes in. It's just like, if a woman does want to get married and the man isn't talking about it, or he isn't saying anything or planning on proposing, then it should be a conversation that just needs to be had. And the woman may think that, it's going to mess up what we have going on, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes they're just cool. Like, I had a conversation with a couple before, and they were like, because we cool. Like, we cool. We that's just not the direction where we're going in. And then sometimes it's like, okay, if that's just what you want to do, then, that's just based on your particular self.
Right. And I think you made a good point about, it is important that the conversation has to happen, right? Like, it has to, and it has to be either we don't want to get married or we do, but we have to, as two people who are together, you know, we have to have the conversation.
Exactly.
And I'll speak from my personal experience that I think for me, growing up, and as I've said before, I don't have many women in my family who were married or are married. My mom was not married. So I think for me, I didn't even like grow up thinking of, like, I knew I wanted to get married at some point in my life, but I didn't have like the expectations when I met my husband now about having a conversation early on. Like, we would talk about, oh, when I get married, or one day we get married, but it wasn't like no, we need to have this conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was, I think, just when you don't know that, or you're not really something that you've been exposed to, you just don't know better. You know what I mean? And that was kind of my experience until things started to go like, okay, now what are we doing? We're having kids now. We have this child. Now we need to have the conversation. So that was my experience as to kind of what made me delay the conversation.
And so then, like, if we look at it, sometimes too, it's just like they need a like push. Like sometimes like guys need like a push, because sometimes they don't know. Right. Like, if you're not saying anything, then they're probably just thinking like, oh, okay, everything is fine, everything is cool. But if it is that something that you want, they need, like, you know, to push. And like you were saying, like, you grew up not seeing it, but you know it was something that you wanted. Right. It also becomes a cultural thing, because when you look at statistics with Caucasian women, African American women, Hispanic women, Asian women, like on the top of that chart, there is that Caucasian demographic, and below that Hispanic, then African American, because it's just something that they may have grown up seeing. It doesn't necessarily has to be like, well, they're better off or anything like that. It's just a cultural thing. Like, they may have raised, you know, seeing everyone in their family getting married, for whatever reasons. And some people only don't just get married because they're in love. They just get married. They get married, you know, to have like, you know, that stability, and just to like really like different reasons as to why people get married. But in the case that we're talking now, we're talking about being married for love, with the person who we will want to spend the rest of our lives with. Right. So I just really think it's just based on what you want to do, and how do you go about bringing up that conversation with your partner. Right. And I know, like, with myself, like, I'm not in a relationship just to be in a relationship. Right. I'm in a relationship to be married. One of the reasons why is because I'm waiting. Right. The second reason is just like, I'm just not going to be out here. Right. Right. You know what I mean? Right. I'm just not going to be just out here. That's just my personal preference. Right. To me, like, marriage is like oneness. Like, you know, again, we were talking earlier, marriage is like, you know, something legal. Like, you're signing a contract. Yes. Once you sign a contract, you can't break that contract with anything. When you're buying a car, a house. Right. Same thing with marriage. Like, once you sign that contract, like, we're in this bond here together as one. We're in this thing here legal. So it's like no playing around here. Yeah. Like, no, it's just like really, really serious. Right. And any man and woman that can come together and really, you know, get that commitment as to be in a relationship and really wanting to spend the rest of your life with that person, it's just really serious. Yeah. And I think if you haven't had that conversation with your partner, whether you've been together 3 years or 10 years, you should have that conversation. Yeah. If it's something that you want like to pursue. So I think, you know, it's just really like so many aspects to the whole marriage thing, and getting married, and the wedding and everything like that. Some people think like, people just want to get married for the wedding, or you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, if you're with a partner and you guys really want to be with each other and you're in love, like, no, it's not only about a wedding. Yeah. It's just really like about making that commitment with your partner, to really mean those vows. And Janine, you're married, so you really know all the entirety of it. But as a woman who is not married, and you know, will someday be married. I've had the conversation with my partner, and I didn't bring it up first. He did.
Okay.
But I think he did because he knows me.
Because you know, right. You know, like, let me talk to her about this.
Yeah. So it's just
she's
like
not playing with me.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
I think he did because he knows me.
Right.
And if that was not something that he wanted to do, then him and I would not be together.
Right.
And that's just the God honest truth.
Right. So I think that is the, a key factor too of, like you said, the man knowing the person that they're with, because you set up those expectations.
Right.
Like, I know very early on this is the type of woman that I'm with, and I know that she is not just with me to just be with me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that it's also, when it goes back to, like, talking about who you are as the woman and what you expect and how you carry yourself and what you put out there,
Exactly.
to the men or the man that you're with, then he knows, okay, I know that my girlfriend or my partner wants to be married.
Exactly.
But then there's obviously there's men who might feel like, okay, yeah, I know she don't want to be married, and it just might be something that you might say it, you might present yourself that way, you may not carry yourself as a way, because I also think that sometimes women, the people who say, like, people get married just for a wedding. Yes, the wedding is, beautiful.
Right.
Is one day, but that one day is like over and done with so fast, and then it's like, okay, boom, now you're really, someone's wife, and it is really, it's not easy to go from not being a wife to being a wife.
Yeah, it's just so weird because I never understood how men could want to make a commitment to bring someone else into this world, but can't make a commitment to someone who's in front of their face.
That is so crazy.
It's
that
just
is,
like, like you're
so good.
Like, you're in love with this person.
That is so good.
And I am, like, in human form.
Right.
Like, I'm here in human
Right.
form. You know me. You know everything. About me.
Wow.
You can touch me. You can everything. Like, you're in love with this person, as they would say.
Right.
But I love you. I want you to have my baby.
Right.
Okay. But how come you don't love that person enough to make a commitment with them?
Right.
It's almost like they can't be scared of commitment because that's child is
that's
a
good
great
point. That
big
is
responsibility.
Right.
A child, absolutely.
Right.
It's a great big responsibility. It's a large commitment.
Right.
And you will have to be, a man at the end of the day.
Right.
So why can't you be the man you are and make that commitment, to that woman, even if that woman never talked about marriage to you.
Right.
It's just like, this is something that she would want you to be committed to her. And after that, then we can go on about really being responsible and since we can be committed to each other, then we can be committed, to bringing someone else into this world.
That is, I think I had that conversation with someone before, but that is so good because you hit it on the nails. Like, the person is there. You know everything about them.
Yes.
And people don't realize, like, how often that happens, unfortunately, where it's like, oh, I love you, girl. I want you as my baby. I can't wait to make you the mother of my child. My child. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, wow. Like,
yes, I can't wait to make you the mother of my kids.
No idea how, how good that was to break it down that way, as far as, like, you this unknown person,
right?
That you could commit to as a father, but you can't commit to me as a husband. Yeah, it's like, wow. And again, it's like that commitment of, okay, I can be committed to that person, but I don't eventually don't have to be committed to you. Right. That makes it where I'm okay with having an unknown commitment to my child, because I know down the line I don't have to worry about you no more. And I think that's a good thing about, the things the little things that you think are, like I said, no big deal, until you realize that, okay, we were missing these key components when we weren't married to now we're married,
now we're
you know,
married,
and why
yeah.
it's harder to get through a situation because now we're married and we have to tackle it this way, you know, because you can't tackle the same situation as you would if you were a single woman and a married woman.
Right.
You just can't.
You just can't do
it's
it.
just
right.
it's just not going to end well for you or your family, and it just won't have the same result. And I think that I personally, my advice is that, you know, marriage is hard, and I think what makes it hard is because you have two people who love each other so much, trying to bring ideas together to make it one. That's the hard part about it. Like,
Right.
that is the most difficult thing for people to decide on, just what to eat for dinner. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
That you
yeah.
got to make a huge life decision with your husband or your wife.
Right.
And you got to find a way to, like, both of us to be somewhat happy. And
marriage is like oneness. It's just like, why wouldn't you really want your family to like be as one, like have the same last name?
Right,
Like, you know, you really are going to be one. I mean, that's just for security in the future for you, your children, you know, and just as a family, just, you know, just having that that commitment to you and from your partner and your children as well. So that way, when they're growing up, they'll see and they'll know. You know, my parents are married or we're married, whatever the case may be. But they'll have that knowledge of, you know, marriage and oneness in a home. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the times, you know, sometimes our homes are broken. And like when we see that it comes from generation to generation to generation, those generational curses, I would call it. It like trickles down and trickles down and trickles down. And at one point you have to break it. Like, you have to break those generational curses. And, you know, really wanting more for the upbringing of your children and everything like that. And I was talking to someone and we were just talking about, well, you know, how do you know you're gonna find a husband waiting and stuff like that? I'm like, I can count on my hands how many people I've known that waited and have a husband and is happily married. You know what I mean? So it's just like, my reality is not your reality. Your reality is not my reality. Because like I know people, I have family members, friends, who was on the same journey as myself. And I'm not, you know, doing it follow anyone else. Like, I'm just doing it because I know that's God's path for my life, his plan for my life, and to me that's the right thing to do. So like I always tell people, I'm like, you know, my reality is not your reality. And I'm not living in a world where I'm just going by like, you know, what everyone else is doing. You get what I'm saying? So I really think, like, you know, as women, and for the most part, a lot of women do want that commitment. A lot of women do want to get married. Some may say no, just to you know, justify the fact that the guy really is not ready for it.
We do that a lot. We do that a lot where we say,
cover up.
I don't really want to get married, but you know you want to get married. And you're kind of, again, waiting around for the man that you're with, and you want him to do it, and you know, and then like you said, we just go to like, oh, I don't really want to get married. And that's a terrible feeling to feel, knowing you want to be married to that man that you with, that you might have those children with or that child with, and you are just kind of waiting for him to make the move. You know what I mean?
And I think too, like, if like you are in a relationship with your partner and you guys have been together for some time or whatever the case may be, bring it up. Just talk about it. Just, you know, just, there's so many ways you can bring up marriage. You can just really talk about it. I know, like, with myself, like, some people are like, girl, you talking like you married already. Like,
but you have,
you know what I mean? But it's just
you
like,
you have to, like, start speaking things in a certain way.
Oh, well, if you don't want to get married, sayonara. Like, next. I'm serious. And people be like, oh my gosh, like, you would really leave somebody that you love because they don't want to get married. I was like, yeah, because I have no time for wait. This is not no type of casual thing for me. So it's just like, I need to live my life. So guess what? I'm going to peace out. Like,
sometimes love is not enough. You know, like, that's the other side. Sometimes love is just not enough. Like, I can love you with every ounce of
love
me.
you down.
Every ounce of me, but you know, I love myself more to know that I deserve that commitment. You know what I mean? And that is the side of it where it's like people say, well, you really gave a deadline. It's like, no, for real. like, I'm serious. Like, like, you know what I mean? And that's like, and again, people might feel like, oh, it's pressure, but it's like, no, we're not. No, like, it's not. You can't just, I can't let you keep walking around like, it's no big deal.
It's like you're waiting on that, like, like in a different way. Like, you're waiting on that man. Like, you're waiting on him. It's just like, no. And some people are like, he needs to get his act together. It's just like, okay, you're not going to wait on him to get his act together because he's never going to get his act together.
Right.
Like, that's how I feel. Right. I'm just like, it's like, okay, well, when are you going to get your act together?
Right.
Like, you're going to be waiting and waiting and waiting again. And it's like, you're wasting your time. And it's just like, you said you love yourself more. So, like, if you love yourself more, then why not really aim to give yourself, you know, what you really love and what you deserve and what you desire. Like, regardless of whatever, who may think what, or if the man is just like, you know, I'm not ready yet. I'm not saying you meet a guy, you're dating him for a year, 2 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that whatever it is, however long it is, and it's a conversation that, you know, you want to bring up, you know, communicate with your partner and really say something. Because other than that, it's just like, unless you're comfortable with it.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Is your partner's parents married?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So, same with my husband. His my father-in-law is deceased, but my mother-in-law and father-in-law were married. I think they would have been married almost 40 years plus.
And just like you, though, like my parents are not married. Like, my mom isn't. And it's just like, you know, I raised up with, you know, my mom not being married and my father not being married. But that doesn't give me to just be like, oh, well, no. You know what I mean? Because like my life now is different. And, you know, like I was raised a certain way. So that, with that being said, me being raised a certain way, you know, it's really just like I will like myself to, you know what I mean? Just go ahead and have that commitment given to me. Like at 14, I remember I was at a ceremony with my mom, and that ceremony was a ladies of virtue ceremony. And part of the ceremony was to make a commitment to save yourself until marriage. And I will never forget, like, I was at that podium and my mom gave me a promise ring on my ring finger. And it was, you know, a commitment, make a commitment, and it was making a commitment to God. And at the time, I wasn't making it to myself. At the time, I was making it to my mom. Because I was like, okay, she will kill me. She gonna kill me. Like, that's exactly what it was. Like, at 14, I wasn't thinking, you know, I'm making it to myself. Like, at 14, like, I had friends who were having sex at 14, to be honest. And at that time, I was just like, okay, I'm making this commitment to God, and I'm making this commitment to my mother. And as I got older, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm making this commitment. I made that commitment to myself. As well as God and my mom. So it's just like, you know, different aspects, you know, just different experiences in your life, like, just will play a part on your perspective and things. And, you know, right now, like, that's just my perspective. And women have the right to, you know, do whatever we want to do. But we also have a right to really love who we are as much as we can, to know that what we deserve. And not just to be played around with. You know what I mean?
Because sometimes it can feel like you're
just... sometimes when you do, you know, you need to put your foot on your neck. And when you do, then you'll get what you want. You really will.
And my mother-in-law always says, like, she has said this all the time, and it has really been instilled in me, is just teaching people how to treat you. And, you know, and if you teach them how to treat you, they know what to expect from you. They won't do certain things to you because you know, you're teaching them literally how to treat you, and you can't treat me the same way they treat every other woman or the woman before me. And just because she didn't want to be married don't mean I don't want to be married. You know what I mean? And that is something that, unfortunately, especially in the African American community, as far as how our men view women, they just view until that one woman comes around and says, "Oh,
yeah,
like you know, like, I don't know what you was doing." Until that woman does that, they're gonna keep doing it over and over and over again. You know, until you know, like I said, you teach somebody how to treat you, and you break that cycle of just the repetitiveness of ignoring the things and having those serious conversations. I mean, like I said, it's not easy to sit and have a conversation about something that's lifelong, but you have to have the conversation for yourself. If you have children, you know, you want to know if you're wasting your time. You know, and that's the bottom line that comes down to, like, how much longer am I going to waste my time if I know what I want to do? And like I said, love is not enough, and it can be, I love you so much, we invested 5 years. Yes, you won't get those 5 years back, but you can still have so much time to now figure out to find the person that wants you. As hard as it may be, you just have to have that conversation. And I think once you have that first conversation, it's like, oh, and you get a hint of like, okay, he want to marry me, then you going to just, it would just keep, you'll just start throwing hints, like, so, you know, so what time of year you think you want to get
married?
I
was going to say, because this is another thing. A man knows who he wants to be his wife, and a man knows, like, period. Like, a man knows, like, a man really knows. And if it's something that he brought up, everyone around him will start saying it and like be pushing it. Like, it wouldn't be you. You wouldn't have to say anything.
It might be his mom.
It's gonna be. I'm telling you, it's gonna be every single family member, friend, classmate. I mean, it's going to be everyone is going to be asking, and you're going to be like,
let me tell y'all.
I'm telling you, that's how it be me. It be like this.
Let me tell y'all, at Chantel's 30th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Her birthday brunch. Let me tell y'all, I think everybody thought Martin was getting the ring, like. We like, oh no, he late. He coming.
Yes.
Like, it was like every time
I was the only one that said no.
Every time he got up, we like, oh my God, it's like, what's about to happen? Like, it was just like because we know the plan for their relationship in the direction that they're going in. So we were just all like, oh my God, it's about to happen. Oh my God, like, you know what I mean? We were just all like, oh my God, we all get to experience.
Everyone was getting so excited. It was like, oh my God. And I was like the only one like, no, he's not going to do it now. He's not going to do it today. And I know he's not going to do it. I was really like the only one like that. Like, I was really like, y'all, relax. Yeah,
like, we were really, like, it was like, oh my God, I think
I was really like, relax. But no, I just really think that, you know, the man will know. And when he does, he will. Like, he will. And you will kind of know, like, if it's not going to happen. You get what I'm saying? Because then you'll be like, you know what? Like, you know, maybe we should just, like, you know, just, like, go our separate ways. You kind of, like, will know when it's not going to happen. And that's okay. If it doesn't happen, that's okay. It just wasn't God's, you know, just wasn't God's plan. If something is going to happen, then it's going to happen. And if it don't, it don't. And if you're with the man who you think that, you know, you're going to marry, who God has for you, and you just feel like it's just not happening, then it's okay. Like, it's really, really okay. Like if you're not having those conversations with your partner, and, you know, it's been some time, then, you know.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. And sometimes if it takes, like, leaving, like, you know, I'm out. No, where you going? Where you going? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, what you mean? Like, what I'm doing? Like I don't have time.
And men don't always think that we are serious. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really think you're serious. Sometimes you really have to show a man that you're serious. And again, like, tell them know what you expect and what you want from them, and that sometimes it means leaving, and for them to realize, like, I'm not playing. This is not a joke for me. This is not something that I plan to continue to let happen to me. And, you know, it might be where he might get in line and get things together, or it might be like she said, it just that person was not the person for you because they were not ready to make that commitment. And
I think too, like, with that, it's just like a man is going to do what a man is going to do.
You can't make it,
is going to do what a man is going to do. You might can pressure a woman.
No, that's true.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might can pressure a woman.
But
a man, You can't pressure a man to
not
get
into
married.
marriage.
I'm sorry. Like, not marriage.
No.
Like, not, absolutely, no. Like, not marriage.
Yeah.
You can't.
That's why I think that's the misconception that, again, women are afraid to talk about it because they don't want to feel like he only married me because I pressured him or I talked about it. It's like, no, girl, he married you because he wanted to marry you.
Exactly.
And let's stop. And I think we're taking value away from ourselves by saying this. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like,
why
you don't
I
think
deserve
you're good enough for,
I just, like, he married me because
I deserve this.
I'm me. They know he ain't married me because I talked about it, but he married me because he wanted to marry me. So I think we have to stop taking the value away from ourselves and who we are and devaluing ourselves because you're worth it. He married you because he wanted to marry you, and that's just it.
So, ladies, don't be afraid to say yes to the dress because I know I won't,
right.
and I will let y'all let y'all know when it happens.
Yes.
Whenever it happens in my life.
Yes.
But yeah, this was just such a great conversation to have. It's not something that we really have, like even like in the home or you know what I mean. Sometimes with our close family members, our girlfriends and stuff like that, like we're even afraid to like even bring that conversation up then because we don't want to be judged or whatever the case may be. But definitely, the conversation is something that should be had, and just don't be afraid to bring it up. And if when it is brought up, like it starts an argument, then there's your answer.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? I think like I just really think like depending on how it goes, like that shouldn't turn into an argument.
Right.
Never a time where I talked about marriage, it turned into an argument.
Right. Because like two people who want to do the same thing.
Right. If you're gonna talk about marriage and bring it up, then go ahead, go for it. Definitely go for it. If it's not something you want to do, then don't.
Yeah. If it's something that you want to do and you know that's what you want in life, you have to be willing and ready, and be ready for the answer.
Yes.
You know, that's the other side of it. Be ready to hear the person out. Be ready to fully say how you feel about it.
Yes.
And I think the key is to the women out here who do want to get married and are planning to get married, you have to be ready to be a wife. As we said, we're not trying to tell anyone that you should jump out there and just have this conversation 1 year, 2 years in. But I do think early on, while you're dating and get to know the person, just knowing if they want to get married. It might not be do you want to marry me, but do you want to be married someday?
Exactly,
you know?
the conversation in that courting stage. Like, do you want to be married? That's it. It doesn't have to be like you want to get married to me.
Right. It's like, do you just
like,
knowing that, because it could be simple like no, or it could be simple like you want to have kids. No, it's just those are things that are just like
do you desire marriage? No. Do you desire to have kids? No.
Right.
Okay.
And then your answer
that's
is
very
like,
interesting.
Right.
Okay, just be very receptive of it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Just as how they're receptive of your question, be receptive of their answer,
and then delete their number after the date over, because you know that's not what you.
If you're saying no, like seriously, like if they said no to both, it's just like, okay, nice, you're very attractive, but okay, maybe another person.
Finish your date and then don't call and block them, and that's it. Because you don't want to entertain anything longer. You know that's what we do. You don't want to. You knew very early on. You asked the question, you got the answer, and what we do too often is. We try to think we can convince someone to change their way. And then you're like 5, 6, 7 years and then they're like, oh, he don't want to get married. It's like, but he told you that.
Right.
And we think as women that we can change someone to do something that they don't want to do, especially a man when it comes to marriage.
Yes.
So we got to be, listen, take what we hear and not try to turn it into something else. And believe what someone's saying, because no matter how attractive they may be, no matter what they may have, all those things, if they're telling you what they don't want, then you got to move on and find the person that wants what you want. And if that is marriage, I think there's someone out here for everyone. I hope you ladies out there might want to call your man and have a conversation tonight or something like that to see what direction you're going in to kind of just secure your family and secure your relationship and make it one as what marriage is. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment. Let us know your opinion. Are you struggling with having a conversation? How did it go when you had the conversation? Or are there women out here who just don't want to get married? You just don't want to get married, and that is absolutely okay. So I will see you guys soon, and I will talk to you guys later.